How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Vault. We're here on the Derick Leg podcast. I'm a week recovered from being sick. Just want to thank Tyson and Bonnie for filling in for me last week. If you guys haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. It's a very informational podcast on mental stability. Mental health, mental stability. I enjoyed listening to it. I'm actually going to steal the Q-tip reference from her. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to it. But today we're here with a local chef of a local, it's a fairly new restaurant. What, a year?
Yeah, opened up in 2020. No, 2022.
Okay.
2020. Wow.
2020.
Yes,
Okay.
2020.
Yeah, so fairly new. I've been there twice. I brag about it. I'm glad that I can finally meet you. This is Dee Munford. How's it going, man?
I'm always good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing all right. I'm ready to do this. It's a different setting for me because we're usually doing it after I work, 12 hours a day.
Right.
And so now we're doing it kind of mid-morning. So it's a little different energy in here for me.
I feel that. Yeah. I work all night. It's very important for me to be at the restaurant, trying to do everything that I can to keep the boat floating.
Yeah. So you had explained to me before, but you're one of 3 chefs there.
Yes.
Is there like a tier of,
Yes.
Okay. So how's that dynamic work there?
The dynamic that works there is very traditional. Going back a little bit as far as culinary history goes, have you heard of Escoffier?
No.
Escoffier was the founder of what was known as the brigade system. He, being a military man, as he established the brigade system in restaurants, it laid the foundation for how restaurants are supposed to be, basically. This is who you are. This is what you do. This is your position. This is what this position entails. So traditionally, in high-end restaurants around the world, there'll be like a saucier, a person whose specification and designations are towards making sauces for dishes. There's the garmacher. They're the person garnishing dishes and also the person mostly working over the cold items, salad items, and the like. But you'll also have your grill or your grill master. Their focus is over there as well. Your sauté, the fish cook, things like that.
Okay.
So here at the restaurant at Wood Ash Rye, the way that it works is that there's going to be the owner, definitely, but under him, when it comes to the kitchen, that is going to be your head chef or your executive chef or your chef de cuisine.
Okay.
Executive chef oversees all the kitchen in its entirety. They're different from the chef de cuisine because chef de cuisine is the chef over the food, over the menu. They're the person who's building new items, testing them out, tasting things. They are the chef over the food.
Okay.
Under them, depending on where you work or where you go, there's different classifications. There's an executive sous chef. Sous just means under.
Okay.
So you're under the chef.
I always wondered that, yeah, because you hear sous chef all the time.
Right. So over at the restaurant, there is Sam, Chef Sam. He's the head chef. He's the executive chef.
Okay.
And then you have Chef Ryan, who at the glorious age of 23 has been able to overcome a lot of obstacles to become one of the newest sous chefs at the restaurant. I, at the age of 29, am their newest sous chef.
Awesome.
So
you've got a young, energetic crew over there, it sounds like.
Always.
Yeah.
It's very common towards southern Utah. There's not a whole lot of older, experienced individuals who want to branch out and try new things when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Got you. So Amanda and I have been there. I took her there her birthday, the first year you guys were open, I want to say. Mm-hmm. I'm picturing it because I can picture when we went. I brought her flowers, but she was pregnant with our son, so I'm pretty sure it was not last year, but the year before. So 2020,
right,
in August, I would say.
Nice.
But so for us, there's another restaurant in town, the Cliffside, that was kind of the place to eat before you guys.
Yes.
And so that's like if you wanted to go somewhere nice, in parentheses, right, you would go there. And so now people that I've talked to over the years, and they know we used to go to Cliffside all the time. I would say, no, dude, it's Wood Ash Rye's the new place. Like if you want to go somewhere, unless you want to, if you're staying in St. George and you want to go somewhere super nice, you guys are the number one spot now, in my opinion.
Thank you.
So yeah, it was when Mallory said you were coming on, I was like, well, this is kind of cool. Like I get to talk to you about the restaurant a little bit and the history of it. So have you been with them since day one?
I have not been with them since day one. I'm actually one of the newest people at the restaurant. I've only been there about 8 months now.
Okay. So I need to come in and retry it now that you're there.
Absolutely. There's a lot of new things that have changed.
I bet. Yeah, my wife's boss, I need to start telling him, because he gets us a Cliffside gift card every year for Christmas.
That's funny.
I need to tell him we need to get some Wood Ash Rye gift cards coming now.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. So you're 29.
Yes.
Did you grow up in Utah, Southern Utah? Give me a little background on you.
Born and raised, Salt Lake City.
Okay.
Yeah, I've only been down here for a little bit. For almost the past 6 years. It was an unfortunate circumstance led me down here to Southern Utah. I was working in Salt Lake City at a really nice restaurant called Twigs that's actually out in Farmington, and I had taken 2 people into my home, tried to help them out a little bit, got them jobs at the restaurant, trying to help them out. They were trying to help me out, lower my rent a little bit by splitting that a little bit more.
Sure.
They ended up robbing me, taking a bunch of things, including my rent money, and it left me in the situation where I could have stayed in Utah. I mean, in Salt Lake City, I could have done it. I could have made it work, but it would have been a stretch.
Yeah.
At that age, I just barely got my license. I didn't have a car. I was skateboarding everywhere to work. I didn't have credit cards. I didn't have good credit. I was in debt a lot, and I knew that this was a good move, moving down here to Southern Utah to help plant my feet back under me.
Yeah.
Thus far, I have a 2018 Jaguar sitting outside.
Nice.
I'm almost completely debt-free, and yeah, I have like 4 credit cards now and building up my credit to the point where I can get my loan to have my medical expenses taken care of.
Awesome. And then if we can talk about the girl that you were explaining to us before we got on, you're in a good relationship, and that always helps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely different than any other relationship I've ever been in. There's a little bit of an age gap there, but
that doesn't matter most of the time.
Exactly. Most of the time. In this particular case, there's a 9-year age gap. To me, it doesn't matter nearly as much because when it comes to people's emotional maturity, it means the world of difference. She's not like anybody whom I've ever met before. She also doesn't do the things that other people in general that I know that they do. She doesn't do things that is a giant waste of time. She doesn't sit there doing nothing or try to be overtly cute for absolutely no reason. She's a lot like me. Working in the restaurants, there's no wasted energy.
Yeah, purposeful.
Yeah, everything that we do has a reason, and we're going through and executing on the things that we're doing. And it's different for me. When I was younger, I swear, I was like, I'm never going to date a cook. Talking to myself like, well, why won't you ever date a cook? And I was like, because, like, imagine the fact that we get married one day, hypothetically. And that's my house, or our house. It's our house. But that's my kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, I've worked really hard to fund all the equipment for that kitchen, for my kitchen. I have like $50,000 worth of culinary equipment at my home right now that it doesn't even fit in my kitchen. But it's the one thing that I've been able to do thus far in my career is put a lot of money towards that. That way, while other people were out drinking and whatnot, I didn't go to culinary school.
Okay.
I stayed home. I studied. I practiced. I did what I could to try and cut that curve, because when it comes to job interviews and working at the restaurants that I've wanted to, one of 2 things. I'm either going to have to be as experienced and knowledgeable as I need to be, or I have to have a degree. Since I didn't have a degree, I had to try and cut that curve and do the alternative.
Sure. I mean, I've been the same way. I have 0 college. Actually, I was in college for about 3 days. When I was in high school, I took an auto body class at Dixie College here.
Nice.
And I didn't realize that they started when the high school started, because there's like a week or two difference, I believe. And so I showed up when college started, and I was like 2 weeks late, and they were already in the middle of projects. And I don't know, I just didn't feel like I fit in. I was late. I was embarrassed already off the top. And so I think I lasted like 2 days, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. And so that's my college career.
Nice. Hey, man, it's not bad. It's more than I did. I didn't even go to any college whatsoever.
Yeah.
Didn't even take generals, nothing.
Well, and I knew in high school, I was like, I can't wait to be done with high school so I can start working full time.
Right.
So that was never even a thought for me to go to college. And like now looking back, if I did, because I'm in business now,
Right.
I have a few businesses now. I wish that I had a little bit of training, maybe dodge some potholes that I had to get myself out of, different things that route. But for the most part, I'm better at learning on my own anyway. So
Agreed. No, absolutely. There's you were mentioning Gary Vee earlier.
yeah,
Absolutely love Gary Vee. One of the things that I've picked up a lot from him, trying to put myself in a more motivational mindset all the time, he definitely helps out with that, is, as I said earlier about cutting that curve. There's absolutely, you don't have to go through all the steps completely on your own. There's people who have already done that, where we can have those references we can look back on. And since they already know about mistakes that have been made that we can completely avoid, to just get right to where we need to be and how we need things to work when it comes to owning businesses and running businesses, we can step over some of those potholes, by having mentors, having people that we can look up to, or having source references that can help us cut that curve.
yeah. I'd had people in my life as a kid, my parents or their parents or someone would say, well, they just have to learn it on their own. And like, I understand that to an extent, but I would have friends that would screw up or do something stupid, and then they'd be like, well, that's just how I learn. I do it. And I'm like, no, dude, you could have seen this coming, or had someone, like you're saying, someone else go through that experience. You should be able to pick that up from.
Right.
Like, you doing something dumb, it's not an excuse just to be like, oh, well, I have to learn things myself. No. I never understood that.
Me
but
either.
I don't know. I mean, different people do different things, I guess.
Right.
So born and raised Salt Lake, and then you tell me, so you're self-taught, I guess would be the
Yes.
way to put it, right? How did you even know this is what you wanted to do? How did all that happen?
Well, short version of it, psychology says that the best conversation you're ever going to have is a conversation you have with yourself.
Okay.
At a young age, I convinced myself of a lot of things. Like, I'm never going to be a hardcore drug user. I'm not going to end up like certain people or do certain things. I had that conversation as an adult. I don't do that kind of stuff. So when it came to my career, it was very simple. I compiled a list of everything that I liked, and I put it into a function where, how does this correspond with the real world? What could I possibly lump in a bunch of the things that I like, and how can I make that into a job? Ultimately, it was culinary, and I was like, can I live comfortably doing this? Can I enjoy doing this?
I mean, how old are you when you're doing this?
15.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, I still tell people I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I just happen to have some businesses I run.
That's fair.
But I've got a 16-year-old working for me now, or he just turned 17, and he's like got his whole life planned out. And I'm like, good for you, man, because I wasn't that guy. So yeah, I think being 15, you're very disciplined to be able to sit down and do that. Sorry, go on. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're totally good. But yeah, ultimately, I decided that culinary is something that I can do. What's something that's always going to be in high demand? What's something that I will virtually never be laid off, where people are always going to need it? And can I live comfortably with the end result? If I've accomplished everything that I want to, could I live comfortably? So for me, it was a choice. Thereafter, I just was like, all right, well, let's, just like as you said earlier, like, let's do it. Like, I'm one of those people where if I get into something, I will get into it.
Yeah.
I will focus, I will study, and I will become passionate about it. So a lot of people, a lot of my friends would say something along the lines of, well, Damon, you're so lucky. Like, you found something you're passionate about. And I was like, no, I chose this.
I became passionate.
I became passionate about this. I chose to be passionate about this. If you're going to do something, put your full ass in it.
I like that. Yeah. Because I've had that too, where like, so I have a company where we do custom holsters. I have another, like a storefront company where we do gun vaults and, or gun safes, vault doors. And people are like, well, you're so passionate about holsters. And I'm like, nah, dude, I just like money. and I found that I can make money by doing these, and I'm finding now 8 years down the road where I'm like, I'm kind of trying to pull a lot of my time off of holsters and move into something else that's more productive. And it's weird for me to think that, like, I'll be honest, I was never passionate about holsters. I was good at making them, and I was the only person in town that could do custom ones at the quality that people needed them. And I had the time and I had the money to put into it. Passion was not really a thing there. It was just something that I could make money with in my spare time. And so yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think I've ever thought about it that way, that you become passionate, like you decide and you become passionate about it. So I like that, because it's always like, you got to find your passion, and you created your passion.
It's as simple as that. If you're passionate about making money, you don't know what it is that you want to do, there's nothing wrong with choosing to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I guess that's what it is. My wife's passionate about vacations, climbing, mountain biking, and now it's changed a little bit with our son. Now she's like finding things she can do with a 1-year-old, and
right.
And me, I'm just like, I'm probably just going to go to work tomorrow. Like that's what I think of. That's what I want to go do. But, so did you start in a restaurant in Salt Lake? How did that come about and then ended up down here?
Yeah, I did. Back up in Salt Lake, I actually started off being in the front of the house. I didn't even start off in the kitchen. I just worked as a busser, and then eventually I worked my way into the kitchen. Couple rocky roads here and there, but ultimately, I know that cooking is what it is that I wanted to do. It made the most sense to me. Working in the front of the house can make unbelievably good money. It is awesome for them. But I know it's the discipline, it's the structure, I know specifically how this is supposed to be done, and I can do this, and I know that I can do this. Some days it's unbelievably difficult, though.
Oh, I'm sure. So in Salt Lake when Corona hit, you were still up there?
No, I was down here.
You were down here when that hit? Okay. I was going to say, how did that affect everything up there? But if you were already down here.
Yeah, it already affected everything down here. Yeah. Southern Utah, out of all of Utah, got hit the hardest. We actually got hit one of the hardest in the entire world.
Really?
Southern Utah? Absolutely.
Explain what you mean.
So there was actually 2 main spikes of corona that actually happened here in Utah. And when they did happen, they hit Southern Utah the hardest, because people in Southern Utah are so stubborn for whatever reason. They're wonderful people, stubborn. Yeah, we had, I don't know specifically the numbers, but I want to say we had at least a 200% spike in a day. And then the very next day, another 200% spike. And then it proceeded for an entire week. And the whole world was like, Southern Utah is being hit like a champ in the most uncomfortable way. That happened twice. Originally when it happened, everybody was panicking down here. I remember having to help out my folks, going to Costco and picking up things and having to wait 3 hours to get into the store.
Yeah.
It hit Utah. It hit Southern Utah, and it hit Southern Utah hard. Salt Lake City, it didn't matter nearly as much, especially during the time that it hit. The inversions were going on. People were already wearing masks.
Yeah.
It didn't hit nearly as much. And they'd said something about the cold didn't affect it nearly as much. So all of northern Utah, I mean, they still got it. They just didn't get it nearly as heavy down here, where it's a little bit more dry and arid.
Yeah, it didn't really change my life at all, to be honest. I still went to work. I forget that it's still going on. Right. Usually, like Mallory was just telling us, Mallory, pop on here real quick. if you're there listening. You guys just went down to Vegas. What was that like down there?
They were pretty adamant that we kept a mask on.
Yeah.
Of course, like Dee mentioned, people down here are stubborn, so me and Blake avoided it as much as possible.
Yeah.
But they were pretty insistent, so.
I say I'm definitely grouped into that stubborn class. Like I go into, so my son's daycare is at the hospital, and when I go in there, I'm like, and it's funny because, well, it's not funny, but COVID went through the daycare, and my son caught COVID off of being in daycare. And when I go to pick him up, I'm like, hey, I'm just here to, I got to check him out. You type in a little code, check him out. And I'll go to walk in and they'll be like, oh, here's a mask. You need to put a mask on. And I'm like, this is like ground zero for COVID. Like it's already here. I don't think I'm going to bring, like it's the daycare. I don't think I'm going to bring anything new.
Right.
And like, it's kind of a playful thing now, or at least is for me. You'd have to ask their opinion, but every day I'm like, you guys still doing that? Are you still believing in all this? And it's kind of funny every time I go in. And my wife's like, just don't make any ripples for me. Like if you want to go do that, if you want to do that and have that conversation, knock yourself out. But anyway, so we're down here. I mean, what else? Let's jump into something else because we'll get down rabbit holes for sure.
Absolutely.
Tell me your interests. Tell me what you're about. What do you enjoy doing when you're not working?
Short, sweet, and simple. I love working. Everybody has their vices to some degree. Mine is work. Right now, I'm trying to work on building up a culinary concepts business where I'm capable of growing really wonderful, should be, wild mushrooms. That way I could start distributing that to different natural grocers around the city, other restaurants that are around the city, but also microgreens as well. For me, that's a huge start. And the reason why is because imagine an entire big stalk of broccoli and all the nutritional value that's in that big stalk of broccoli and all the effort it would take to cook that and eat that, when I could give you a tiny little bit of broccoli microgreens that have the exact same nutritional value more, because in that tiny little sprout is all of the nutrients that's in that big stalk of broccoli. So by capitalizing on that and converting it and trying to get people a more healthy, minimal source of the nutrients and vitamins that they need. Again, I'm trying to distribute that to local grocers. And
so you're doing that now?
Yes.
Like you're growing these now?
Yes.
Cool. Where are you at on that? Do you have anyone picking it up?
Not right now. Right now, I'm doing my own. It used to be a private chef business where you could hire me for my services. I would go in, regardless of the occasion, cook you and whomever food. Typically, I course it out as a tasting menu for like anywhere from 5 to 9 courses, depending on what it is you want. Every menu is completely different for each time that I do it. And it depends entirely upon your preferences, your allergies, and everything that you want. So I will create a menu for you, and you will send it back and be like, oh, well, I mean, I like this, but I don't like the sauce that you use, or I don't like tomatoes, or I'm like, okay, we can work with it, and I'll revise it, and I'll send it back. Once it's finalized, I'll be like, all right, well, this is what we got going on. This is the date that we're showing up to take care of all of this stuff, and I'll take care of it, and I'll see you soon. But
and you're doing that, like you would come to my house and do that. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome.
I've changed it up a little bit. It became a little bougie for a lot of people. $250 per person became kind of bougie. I had some good clients, and it worked out pretty well for a while. But I've switched that up a little bit to where I'm just trying to have fun with it. I'm just trying to do things that come naturally to me. Even at work right now, over at Wood Ash Rye, I'm mostly a teacher. I'm teaching everybody about all the things that's going on all the time. Because of the amount of time that I've put into studying and research into the culinary arts, I'm able to tear things apart and tell people, all right, now why are you cutting this onion this way? This is how you're supposed to cut this onion this way. This is the reasons why. Like if you were to cut off that the root part of it where all the different sprouts and stems come out versus the top, that's what's going to make you cry. So if you cut that off last,
then you're good.
I'll also have a super sharp knife.
Yeah, interesting.
So I'm trying to finalize details about almost like a personal cooking teacher.
Yeah.
I'll come over to your house, we'll grab a whole group of people or whomever it is that you want, or even if it's a special occasion, like hypothetically if it's Valentine's Day.
Sure.
I'd be like, all right, well, let's get together. I'd have a simple, nice wine selection. I will teach you and whomever about the types of food that we're going to be making. We'll all be making it together. We'll be working around, having fun, communicating, and just trying to enjoy the experience for what it is. But we'll all try and do it together. That way I gain something out of it, you guys gain something out of it. But like the moment that the food hits the table, I'd be like, all right, you guys enjoy. I'm out.
I'm out of here. Is there any kind of like teaching, like cooking classes type stuff in Southern Utah right now that you're aware of?
Yes, there are plenty of different kinds.
Really?
But they won't show up to your home.
Yeah.
Or they won't show up to your office.
So do they have like a brick and mortar place that you show up to?
Well, Harmon's has cooking classes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's a couple other places that can do cooking classes, and there's some chefs throughout town that are personal chefs who can meal prep for you, who can food plan, who can be your dietitian, your nutritionist. Harmon's is pretty huge on that kind of stuff. They have a lot of different developments going on that can help you out with that kind of stuff if that's something that you're looking for or something that you're into. I've been diving into that more and more, trying to eventually break off from working for somebody else.
Sure.
And being able to go into business for myself where I can take care of the fundamentals and the elements for that. I know that there's a niche for it. I know that there's a want for it. And
I agree. Like my mind's like just spinning right now thinking like, okay, well, how do you get this in? And do you need to have your own place that you're going to have couples come to? Or I like the idea of you going to someone else's house because that'd be more personable to them.
Not only that, but it actually also doesn't violate any restrictions or codes. Because I've looked into this on my previous business for my personal chef, and I either have to, it's okay if it's somebody's home, or if it's an industrial or like a restaurant setting.
Okay.
I am not breaking any health codes. I'm not breaking any restrictions whatsoever. And it was that one fundamental is it's okay as long as I'm in somebody else's home.
And so my other thought is you're also using their stuff, right?
No.
Not all the time? Okay. So that's what I was going to say. If you come in and you're like, you have this and this and this, I mean, basically what you're doing is showing that they don't have to have a commercial kitchen setting to be able to cook that quality of food.
Correct.
Right? And so if someone had you come in, are you buying food or are they buying food? How does all that work?
It entirely depends.
Either way.
If you're trying to buy like a really nice $80 simple 12-ounce American Wagyu steak, it's going to be pretty expensive for my budget. Like I would prefer, normally the setting is you will pay for the food. I will come in and I will work with you guys. We'll all cook this food together. I'll show you how to do the things on a professional level.
Got you.
That way you gain something out of this. At the end of it, if you're taking notes or something like that, you will be able to hopefully recreate these steps. You will be more knowledgeable about the culinary arts and cooking and being your own kind of chef after the experience. I'm incredibly knowledgeable when it comes to cooking.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
I hope so.
Yeah. So you'll also do like nice sit down dinner. So say someone got a group of like 8 or 10 people together, you'd come in and just cook. And you would put a menu together. I didn't even know stuff like this existed in Southern Utah, but I love it. Like I'm sitting there thinking like, I don't cook very much. I'll do a little bit of the meat cooking. My wife cooks a little bit. Like we really, like we don't, and it's probably something we should work on, but like we don't sit down and do like dinner very often, right? Sunday dinner, yeah. But like usually, I mean, she's home. She'll pick up our son on the way home from work, take care of him, get him dinner. She'll eat something real quick, put him to bed. I'm home 2 hours earlier. Half the time she's already asleep, and so there's just not a lot of like sit down dinner time for us or any meal time for us.
Right.
But do you do like like a food prep service for people? Is that something you do or you're interested in?
Yes, it actually is something that I have done.
Okay.
And it's super simple. I'm more than happy to do it. For me and my buddies, I used to do it for them for free. It's ways for me to experiment on some of my food. You know, they already have a bunch of food and ingredients, especially for some of my friends who are very health conscious. They'll already have their ingredients and they're like, okay, we need to be specific about this. And I'm like, dude, quit stressing. We got this. Like, let's
This is
just
what
get
I
cooking.
do.
Yeah, this is what I do. But yeah, I love meal prepping, and I love the process. I love cooking. For me, cooking, working, it's my vice. If I ever need to get away or do something like that, if I throw myself into the process of building or creating or trying to understand the mechanisms, I love it. It's how my brain works. I'm a million miles an hour.
So when you do the food prep stuff, are you like you're just sitting down one day? Well, I'm just thinking of how this would work. Like if you came to our house, my wife's there, maybe a couple friends, and you just go through all the steps of, hey, here, this is how you do all of it. And then you could either continue that service and supply the food, or you're basically just teaching them to do it. And so then they can take it over. I mean, so what's your goal? Or you don't really care. You're just there to teach and have fun.
Pretty much. That's the goal. The goal is to teach and have fun, because there's going to be people all the time, all over the world, who don't know how to cook or who don't have the time for
Well,
it.
and I think it's more now than both of those reasons, I think, are more now than ever.
So it makes a whole lot of sense to have somebody who's ultimately not $250 per person come in your house, and rather than saying, I'm your exclusive private chef, to be like, we're just going to cook, have fun, and we're going to get through this.
Yeah. Like, here's a couple ingredients. Here's this. You guys can do these things to it. And
it's not as complicated as people make it out to be. Don't be afraid of dropping something in that hot oil. It's way more afraid of you than you are of it.
well, I think we're going to do this. I think it'd be fun, even just like a date night thing, getting a bunch of people together and then having you come over and just educate everyone.
I am 100%
and then you all have
about
dinner.
it.
And then you get to eat.
Right? And it's all good food. And it's way simpler than people make it out to be. And I don't know, that's kind of the whole point. Food has been a huge part of my life up to this point. And one of the things that I love about food is how much people take it for granted. It's way more complicated in this area than people genuinely give it credit for. If I were to ask you right now, what is the best pizza you've ever had?
Best pizza I've ever had. You know, I did like 25 mains pizzas, and probably, you mean like where or what kind?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay. Like I'm a ham pizza guy, so everything I get's ham pizza. And then there's this place called Hot Mama's up in Duck Creek. I don't know if you've been up to Duck Creek or not. Yeah, like the Hot Mama's pizzas.
Look how quickly it is that you remembered that. You were able to pick apart a location and a time very specifically. That food is going to stick with you forever. That idea is going to stick with you forever. That feeling is going to stick with you forever. You're going to remember the crappy or amazing food that you had at your wedding or reception. You're going to remember the kind of cake that you gave to your child on their first birthday. Food genuinely brings people together.
Yeah.
And is the most wholesome feeling I've ever encountered in my entire life. Being able to, like, even the Italians, they have a tradition of you do not slice the bread all the way through. You slice it most of the way through because you want to break bread with family. And there's traditions like that in every culture the world around. Bread is actually one of the main staples in a lot of different cultures, that it is the part of the meal. Getting together with family would not be complete without something as simple and, to us, seemingly as mundane as bread. In other countries, it is the reason wars are fought, because the price of wheat went up by 50 cents or 20 cents or 10 cents in some places. Bread is a fundamental, almost freak of nature. It was a complete accident for somebody to stumble upon that one day. Yet it has built the world around and has brought families together, has brought friends together, and has made lasting memories all throughout time. That I remember the best burger I've ever had. I can tell you right now, same with the best pizza, same with the best sandwich, best milkshake, all of that, undoubtedly. And everybody can. Everybody can remember the best food that they've ever had. And what they don't understand is truly at the end of the day how much that food genuinely has touched their lives and how much those experiences have meant to them. But through that lack of introspection, people have lost a lot of that connection to it. People see it more as I just need to go. I just need to go and I need something quick.
Yeah.
I don't eat fast food.
See, that's my life. Like if I eat during the day, it's usually just driving from one place to another. And or when I get home at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and I'll throw something in the microwave or throw something in the, what's that thing called? Air fryer. And I'll eat. And it's like, and I know it's awful, but I'm like, so am I better off just not eating?
No. No, yeah, absolutely. You're not better off not eating. That's not how that works. However, there's definitely alternatives. If you could have an amazing rice bowl where it's just beautiful, plain, fluffy rice, and you can put whatever it is that you want on it. Say it's like toasted pumpkin seeds. Say it's like crispy shallots or caramelized onions. Say that you decide that you were experimenting one day with cooking class, and you're like, yeah, this chef came in and he made this cured meat that's just sitting on the wall looking like it's going bad, but it's not. Because he taught you about the fundamentals of this is completely okay. This is safe. It's completely fine. Wait until this time and you will have an amazing cured meat product that you can say you yourself made. You can taste it and you can be proud of an effort that it's a totally different kind of child. It's a totally different kind of baby where you took the time, the energy, and the knowledge to make sure that it was safe for you, for everybody, and it's going to be completely unique, unlike anything else ever made or that you've ever had.
I like it, dude. I've never heard someone talk about food like you do. I love it.
Thank you.
Because I'm interested in doing that. I think we might. I'll talk to the wife because I already know she'll be down because she's been looking for food prep stuff. But for me personally, just on a health side of it, like I don't eat all day, and I'll have like a Monster in the morning. I'll have a Mountain Dew or two throughout the day, and then if I eat something, it's fast food in the middle of the day, and then I'm home late eating something for garbage, And
yeah, so something you pulled out of the freezer and you're just like, well, I mean, it's better than starving.
Exactly. Your face when I said that, you're just like, come on, bro.
Hey, man, it is what it is. Everybody lives their own life. I don't judge anybody for anything.
But I think if we had stuff, and so now I've got, like at our store, we've got a microwave, we've got a fridge, we've got that, and I'm like, it would be fairly easy to just have something in the fridge right there ready to roll. So when I get hungry in the middle of the day, but I can't leave because I'm the only person at the store. So I can't just lock it up and roll,
right?
Go home and cook something and come back.
Yeah.
And so I've thought about that last few days. So I'm glad that, I think we're meant to have this conversation because I think that I'm starting to have all these ideas roll through my mind of not only how I can capitalize, but hopefully everybody that's listening here would be able to reach out. So what's the goal? Is the goal to have your own business doing meal prep, or just, hey, these are my skills. This is what I can provide. You guys can choose how to hire me.
Pretty much the second one. I have a wide array of skills. I've been a baker. I've been a candy maker. I've been a chocolatier. I've done everything from making salads professionally to grilling up meats, doing braises, doing roasts, making cakes, like you name it. I've quite literally done everything from washing. I love washing dishes. So imagine that. Like I come over to your house and I'm like, no. I love washing dishes. You can sit down and enjoy yourself. And I can prepare for you the butchery. I can show you how to break this down, and I can show you what is okay, what's not okay. I can show you how to appropriately store this, the time frame on when you need to use this. I can show you on how to organize your fridge appropriately and your freezer, and everything can eventually just be, rather than this random eclectic bag of veggies that you bought for like $1 because you're like, screw it.
Yeah.
Imagine going to a place where you find really nice carrots or celery or any type of fruit that you love. I love fruit. I can show you how to prepare all that. I can show you what that fruit or what that veggie wants to do. As an example, root vegetables. You think about carrots, turnips, rutabagas, these other things that nobody really cares for. Root vegetables want to be roasted. They want to be in your oven. They want to have that nice 350, caramelize it. It comes out and it is absolutely magical. You've caramelized all the sugars and you've capitalized on what that ingredient is supposed to taste like. You add a little bit of salt or a little bit of a lime juice or a little splash of vinegar, some sort of an acid, something like that, to help enhance the flavor that's already there. And you're tasting what an ingredient is supposed to taste like. It's way different than just, here is water and salt.
Yeah.
We threw this in the microwave.
Right.
If you have those ingredients and you can food prep them, because I've come over and I've shown you how.
Right.
You can have that in your fridge or in your freezer. And at that point in time, the end goal is you hire me because you want to, not because you need to. That's the dynamic that I have in all of my relationships. I don't need somebody to be there. I want somebody to be there.
Yeah.
I want people to want. I don't want people to need. Like you do need to eat. Absolutely. I can show you how to feed yourself, and I can show you the steps to go through to take care of yourself and to make sure that you, like, who knows, maybe I teach you enough to where eventually you open up a restaurant, or if you do open up a restaurant and you're hiring people to cook and you're trying to go through chefs and you're like, the hell did you just tell me? You did what to that ingredient?
Yeah.
That's not what no. Like, get out of here, you crazy person. Mayo and watermelon. All right, no. I mean, if it works for you, everybody's different, but
that doesn't work for me, by the way. I'm not a mayo guy.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know, people, man.
Dude, our family joke is my dad's family would do it was Jell-O with mayo on the top of it. And that was like my dad's parents. And we were kids and we showed up once. And I was very, very small. My brothers would have a better memory of this. But my two older brothers thought it was like whipped cream. And so they took like big pieces of it. And at my dad's house, there was a lot of kids, not a ton of money. If you took it, you ate it type of thing.
Yeah.
And my two older brothers cut these big bricks of this Jell-O out, and it's got mayonnaise on it, not whipped cream. And they both take a bite, and they're like, I'm not eating this. And there's like this little scuffle between everybody about if they had to eat it or not. And again, I was probably, I don't know, 4. So I don't really remember all of it, but I've heard the story so many times in my life, I feel like I can remember it.
Right.
But yeah, that was always the joke with us. I couldn't imagine doing that. That's the nastiest thing I could ever think of.
There's some super nasty things that are out there pertaining to that.
Yeah.
Bouncing off that a little bit. One of my favorite chefs, which probably today is America's golden boy when it comes to the culinary arts, Grant Achatz, out in Alinea in Chicago.
Okay.
One of my favorite things that I've ever learned from culinary came from him, and it was a quote. And he said, "There are no rules. Do whatever you want." And it's as true today as it ever was. Like, nobody told you that you couldn't make pistachio into an ice cream. Nobody told you couldn't do that with bacon. Nobody told you that it was wrong to put mayo and watermelon together. I tried a little bit of this mayo and watermelon, and actually I was very skeptical. Due to the other ingredients that are incorporated in the dish, it works. So I originally used that because, like, just mayo and watermelon, I was super skeptical. I was like, I don't know. But I'm all about don't knock it till you try it.
Sure.
There's certain things that I don't want to try. There's certain things that I do not encourage people to try all the live long day. But nobody told you that you could not do something. If you genuinely want to try and find a way to incorporate large confit garlic into a dark cherry sauce to put on your lamb, do it. Who told you no?
Yeah.
Who told you that that's not what you do? You can do whatever you want.
So there's a lot of freedom when it comes to all this stuff too.
Absolutely. The culinary world is constantly untapped. There's another super famous chef. His name is super difficult to pronounce for me, but he owns a restaurant out in San Sebastian, Spain. It blew my mind when I found out he was doing this. He'll take cookies, he'll bake it off. He'll take those cookies once they're baked off, and he'll dehydrate them down into a flour. He'll take that flour, and he'll make cookies out of this cookie flour.
Okay.
So he's seasoning cookies with cookies. Like if you've ever wanted to taste what a cookie's supposed to taste like, I'm assuming it's that. Or he'll use like a dehydrating centrifuge.
What's that?
So a centrifuge is something that is used in the medical field. What it does is it spins so fast with centrifugal force that it actually forces the liquids apart.
Okay.
I've seen this used all the time in the culinary arts. I've seen somebody make a clear tomato soup that tastes like concentrated tomato, but it's crystal clear.
Huh.
But it has a bunch of different beautiful prepped veggies that are inside of it as well. Imagine, have you ever eaten like a minestrone soup?
Sure.
Imagine that minestrone soup is clear.
Yeah. That's odd.
Right? That's crazy. This chef out in San Sebastian, Spain, he's able to do weird things like that, where he'll take asparagus and he can cook it off, put it in, break it down, put it in the centrifuge, and he's able to extract the natural liquid from it, the pulp from it, but also the essence from it, its smell. He's able to take that pulp itself with a little bit of that flavoring. He can then incorporate it into salt, turn that salt green, and give that salt the flavor of asparagus. He's able to take that essence, that smell and flavor of asparagus, and then he's able to, when he cooks off a batch of asparagus, I can season it with asparagus and give it the asparagus essence. There's absolutely nothing in the...
That's
it's crazy.
Yeah. Who would have ever thought?
Right? Culinary world is untapped all the time. There are clear potato chips. There are clear sheets of pasta. There's this app on my phone, and I'm loving it. It's called Granda, where chefs from around the world get together and they share their incredibly crazy techniques with each other. One of my personal favorite recipes. Absolutely love it. Have you ever had frog legs?
Like in scouts over the fire, and we all got sick.
Well, don't do that, please. No. Frog legs are one of my favorite proteins ever.
Really?
They're always moist. I've never had a dry frog leg in my life, even if you somehow manage to overcook it. Due to the animal and the environment in which that animal lives, I can take off the skin, and I can keep those frog legs in water, just really cold water. From there, what I like to do is I take them out and I'll pat them dry. That way the seasoning or whatever I apply to it actually sticks.
Sure.
So it's not going to stick if it's wet. I'm just a salt and pepper kind of guy. But I will make weird things like my lavender buffalo sauce, where I add these nice floral accents to it, but I also capitalize on its rich buttery texture and its nice spicy contrast. From there, I'm actually able to get a full array of umami out of the ingredient because I'm capitalizing on trying to add salt, fat, heat, acid. From there, I can take these frog legs, salt and pepper, and I coat them in a dredge of potato starch and rice flour. The reason why is because it gives it that kind of texture when I fry it, that genuine hard crisp.
Yeah.
And all I have to do is flash fry it for a little bit.
Huh.
Give it 2 minutes at 350 degrees, pull that out, coat it in a little bit of this lavender buffalo sauce, and I like to do a blue cheese foam. So rather than just eating it with a blue cheese dressing or just eating blue cheese in general, it is a blue cheese, I don't know how else to put it. It's a foam.
Yeah.
Where it coats delicately and it spreads over your mouth delicately to where it's not going to be too much. It can disperse rather easily, and it's actually easier on the body.
That's crazy, man. He just said 9 different things I didn't even know went together. I love it. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to do something with you. I think it'd be fun just to do a group date night, just have you come over.
We're down.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Mallory's
I
like,
are
I'm in. I mean, we have like a big island at our house, and I'm like, we could
Nice.
just sit everybody around it and just have you go to town.
That's
I think
the
it'd
idea.
be fun.
But it's not going to be just me. The idea is that I want other people involved as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
If you have crappy knives at home, that's totally okay. I bring in my own knives always. I will show you what a good I'm very well versed in metallurgy. I actually used to make and manufacture bladed weapons back when I was a teenager.
Really?
I did it with my next door neighbor.
That's cool.
We sold a few different knives and different designs to a Buck catalog. It was quite profitable back when I was younger, but ultimately we didn't go through the appropriate process for a lot of the different metals that we were working on, but it gave me a good foundation to build off of.
Sure.
I can teach you about knives. I can teach you how to sharpen knives, maintain knives. I'm very well versed in, I guess, your kitchen, about how to maintain your oven or your refrigerator or keeping your knives up to date. Genuinely, at the end of every single time that I come over to whomever it is, you are going to be well versed and knowledgeable at the end of it. That's the idea.
So how does someone get a hold of you if they want to do something like that?
I have a business card. I don't have one that just I spread around all the time. I have one of the digital cards
Sure.
where all you do is I just tap it right to your phone and you can save all my information.
Is there a Instagram? Is there anything like that?
I do have an Instagram and I do have a Facebook. My Facebook needs to be updated and so does my Instagram. However, I have ideas for restaurants moving forward, and the idea that I have for a very particular restaurant, when I get to that point, is going to be referred to as the Everwood. I want it to be an experience unlike anything I've ever seen and anybody else has ever seen, where it is almost like a fantasy.
Yeah.
I want live plants all over the place. I want 1 or 2 big, beautiful community tables made out of a solid piece of wood. I want a live tree, a decent-sized tree, growing through the establishment, like right in the center, like going right through the...
Just like this atrium right in the middle.
Yeah, I want that to be the scene to where, there's not going to be any servers or waiters or anything like that. It's going to be that table, the scenery, the diner, and then the kitchen. You will be able to see absolutely everything that the chefs are doing, and we will bring the food right out to you, explain absolutely everything, and it's simple. It's just classic.
It's an experience. Yeah.
That ultimately, I think, is what Utah is missing. It's missing, like, everybody's all about food.
So what do you need to do that? You just need a building, put a couple things together? I mean, I can't imagine that'd be super difficult, would it?
No, actually, it's not super difficult. It just takes...
Because, like, the outline of it is very basic.
Pretty much. Like, as you pointed out, over near 25 Main, that courtyard, if I'm able to put a table out there, get those lights lit,
Yeah.
it is a perfect setting for something like that.
Yeah.
During the warmer climate.
Sure.
It's too cold right now.
Yeah. Right now. But at least we have, 7 months that you could do that. 8 months
Exactly.
you could do that. That's awesome. So what's your Instagram? What's all of that? How does someone get with you?
On my Instagram, it's the Everwood Chef.
The Everwood Chef.
On my Facebook, it's just my name.
Okay.
Classic Damon Munford. You can go on there, and my page is on there. From my last business, it was known as Eat Your Beats. Me and my partner in crime at the time, she was a professional DJ. So we were actually able to bring you not only a personal chef experience, but we were also able to set up events for you. We've done a few private chef settings. We've done a few weddings. We've done a few different caterings. So we were actually able to have quite the array in helping people out with any of their food needs, pretty much. It was still decently expensive for what it was, so I decided to try and steer away from that because it's only the most affluent who would really go for something like that. And I don't want to teach only the people who can afford it.
Sure.
So
I like that. I mean, that should be that's a motto right there. Because that's what someone would think. That's what I would think. If I was going to have you come in and provide those services, like, well, I can't afford that.
exactly.
Or you would think you need to pull, 6 couples together to be able to afford that. But that can be the case, but it can also not be the case.
Exactly. ultimately, I know of people. It's actually pretty straightforward that people have done this. People do this, and there's people who make easily $10,000 a month doing this, and they only work the weekends.
Yeah.
Like they don't work at all during the week. They just do whatever it is they want to do, travel, whatever, and only during the weekends they get people together and they do exactly that. Like, let's cook, let's have some fun.
I mean, the knowledge that you have, I mean, the knowledge that you've accumulated, the knowledge that you've not only accumulated, but you've grown and you've learned stuff on your own on how to do things that no one else knows how to do. I mean, there's a price tag with that.
There is
right?
a price tag with that, but I still want to make it like comfortable for me, but not unaffordable for other people.
Exactly. And that's probably the hardest part, really, when it comes to all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome, man. But I'd say let's wrap it up right here. I'm going to hire you for sure. I'm just trying to think of what we can do. I would love to do it both ways. I'd like to have, a night where my wife and I can just hang out, have you do it, and just have like a private meal cooked. But I think it'd be fun too to get a group of people together and have you come over and then show everybody a few things.
That's what we can do.
All right. Well, hey guys, if you want to get with, and you go by Dee.
I go by Dee.
So if you want to get with Dee, you can get on his Instagram at, say it one more time,
The Everwood Chef.
Awesome. You can get up there, and obviously I would definitely push you to go to Wood Ash Rye too. So let's not steer away from Wood Ash Rye as well. Great place to eat. It was very, like, intimate's not the word, because you're still like sitting around everybody else. But I felt like there was a lot of focus just on my wife and I when we were there, if that's a good way to put it. I mean, the food was great. It's probably the best steak I've had at a restaurant. I mean, it was a great steak. I don't recall what my wife had, right? Because I can remember what I had, like you said. Like if you'd have said, where was the best steak you've ever had? I would have been able to tell you.
That's funny. Thank you.
Yeah. I never really thought about it like that, because they say that you can like smell, like the sense of smell will timestamp different things and you'll be reminded if you can smell that again.
It's true.
And I'm like, it's the same thing with food.
Mm-hmm.
And my family has always been, food's brought us together, right? Like it's like, it's not like, hey, let's get together and play games. It's like, hey, let's get together and get some pizzas.
Right.
Like that's how my family always was. But anyway, man, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. I appreciate, just the knowledge that you've put out on here and the different ways of thinking about food and what you can do with it. And I think we'll have you back on at some point, hopefully when you're running your own experience dining business.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, man, I think we'll wrap it up right there. Thanks, guys. Thanks for staying with us. Check on us next week, and we'll bring you another episode.